Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Series of Sim Racing. These drivers here tonight getting ready for short track racing action, our second short track race of the season. We're in the desert. It's Phoenix as the drivers for WSSR iRacingiFlag Cup Series Season 4, race number 7 comes here to Phoenix Raceway as it is the European Wax Center 160 this evening. Drivers are getting set. They're prepared, recognizing this is the second to last race of the season, and all the pressure is on Vincent Sora. Can he keep himself out of trouble? He wasn't able to last week, but certainly the opportunities are there for Zach Hall as well as many others. Want to give a shout out to iRacingiFlag as they are the best iFlag virtual flag system out there. We'll talk more about iRacingiFlag later on this race, as well as ButtKicker, our Rookie of the Year award winner. And the European Wax Center, thank you for being our grid results, as well as the white flag sponsor, on top of tonight being that of the race sponsor. Drivers are racing around, getting ready. We're underway with practice. Less than a minute left here. Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, Thomas Enjek, Brandon Colley, and Chuck Sweeting going to be your top 5. 34 drivers in total. Looking like they'll be the drivers set up for tonight, as this is, like I noted on, the second to last race of the season. Then after this, we head to Charlotte next week for one of the longest races of the season, to see who will come away with the Season 4 championship of the WSSR iRacingiFlag Cup Series. With the way that the season's been going, it's been all Vincent Sora on the points side of things. He's going to be coming in to tonight's race with a 21-point advantage over Zach Hall, then a 45-point advantage over that of last week's winner of Brian Johnson, who was able to get the win at Homestead. We've had ourselves a total of 4 winners this season. Vincent Sora taking the sweep to start out the season with 3 wins. Then Mark Whitley winning at the Indianapolis Road Course. Then we had Steven Stimpian taking that of the wild card race at Talladega. And last week, the madness, the 3-4 wide action at that of the Progressive Bankings of Miami goes to Brian Johnson. But tonight, short track racing action at Phoenix. Then we've got a mile and a half next week, and it's going to be a blast. But for tonight, here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're proud to give you the coverage. My name is Sam Dyer. With me, running double duty, production and commentating, going to be that of Robert Moyer Jr. And Robert, tonight, these drivers, different tests. They're running at the newly scanned Phoenix Raceway, which is going to be giving these drivers a little bit of a visual update, but the track runs practically the same like it did before.
Exactly, Sam. Yep, it runs the same as before, just like you said, a little bit of difference where the start and finish line is now compared to what it was. So it gets us a little bit confused up here too in the booth, until we get used to looking exactly where everything's at on the track. If you don't go here that many times, you kind of get lost going down the back stretch, which is now, the front stretch is the back stretch. See, I'm even all confused, Sam.
It's all reversed. We were so used to the track for so long, and now what once was the back stretch, now known as the Dog Lake, going to be your front stretch for the drivers. And what used to be turn 3 is now turn 1. So we're going to be getting a little bit confused every once in a while. We hope to be as clear as possible, but we do know one thing is clear. Currently, top of the board, going to be Danny Cochran in the 2. There are still a lot of fast drivers, and as I say that, the fastest driver throughout all of practice, Vincent Sora, taking the top of the board on his first lap.
Vincent Sora, he's been on a roll all season here, Sam, so now he's going to see what he can do. You got 2 more races. You got tonight and next week the crown champion, and like you said, you went through the point system there just a little bit. So we'll see what he can do, and right now, like you said, he's up there with the 27.37, so he's fast right now, but I've been hearing through the grapevine, and I'm a proud team owner of this driver. Actually, the number 1. Watch out for Brandon Colley this week, from the rumors that I'm hearing, Sam.
Yeah, Colley certainly. Yeah, I know he's been having a frustrated last couple of weeks. He thought he could have gotten the win at Talladega. The cards just never fell in his favor, but certainly a driver that's been consistently up in our top 3 to top 5 week after week. wouldn't be surprised if somehow he can crack into that victory lane, as he's seen some of his competitors already do so. And, looking at this field, what's wild to think, Brian Johnson, most winningest driver of this series, last week was the first time all season long that we've had a veteran, you could say, of the series, of WSSR's Cup Series. On the fact that we've gotten our first veteran to get a win is see Zach Hall in the 24 rocking a different scheme for himself here this evening, but doing a little bit of drifting going into turns 1 and 2.
Right there, drifting through 1 and 2. And yeah, I talked to Zach earlier this week too, and he said, I don't know, man. He's not feeling confident tonight here, Sam, in that number 24 machine. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. Maybe just take it easy and, you get the best that you can out there, as now we're going to watch here of Brian Johnson out on the track here. We'll see what he can put down. I do believe this is his first lap from what it looks like. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fun race. We'll have to see how this all plays out, like I said. But before we get into anything more, I want to say out there to everybody that's tuning in, again, thank you for tuning in here tonight at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Hope you enjoyed tonight's content here with WSSR Cup Series here from iFlag iRacing, or iRacing iFlags, I mean to say. And but not last but least there, Sam, happy Father's Day to everybody. Tomorrow is Father's Day, yes, and we will be live tomorrow night here at Freaky Fast 2, so we'll be able to give the shout-outs again. But if you don't watch us on Sunday nights, I want to, everybody out there, happy Father's Day, and hopefully you get a new, like, maybe PC toy or some kind of something really cool to play with. Car, tools.
I think for my dad, it's going to be grill supplies.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a couple of on my mind that I'm trying to figure out still what I'm going to get my dad for tomorrow. But
I'm
yeah,
all
happy
for grill.
Father's Day to all. Yeah.
Yeah, I love grilling, man. Grilling's fun.
It's the best.
Oh,
You
man.
to have fun out there making food. I mean, certainly, for some people, it's more fun than virtual racing. And for those that are out on track, they would prefer what they're doing right now,
Yep.
as qualifying is coming to a conclusion here as we see the track switch. For a quick moment, it's time for the drivers to get set up and ready to go. It's race number 7 of 8 this season for the World Series of Sim Racing, iRacing iFlag Cup Series action. Thank you for joining us for your Saturday night evening. These drivers are going to have 160 laps of racing action. Stage break at lap 40, and they've got no fast repair, 4 extra tires in pit road, and tires is going to be a big thing that we're going to talk about all throughout tonight. But before we get to that, it's time to look at our European Wax Center starting results, with Vincent Soar going to be taking that pole position for the 15. In second place is going to be Danny Cochran with Tom Sinchek, that of Justin Lewis, as well as Chuck Sweeting. Steven Stimpian is going to come away with 6th. 7th goes to 13 of Cedric Hunter, with Brian Johnson in 8th place. Chad Wilkes going to be in that 9th place position with Michael Yarrow. Brad Delph going to be in 11th with James Kaufman. Brandon Colley is going to be in 13th with Tyler Dingler in 14th. Alexander Light going to be in 15th with that of Bryce Culber, going to be in that of the 16th position with Carl Pooler. Zach Hall fell all the way down to 18th position with 19th going to be the 86 machine with Bob Skinner. Justin Lumpkin's going to be in 21st with Jamie Lee Dunning's going to be in the 22nd position with Christopher Norris. And finishing out our 24 drivers, it's the 23 of James Hackworth Jr.
And that is your starting grid here tonight with these guys. So good qualifying by all of them. Some probably, maybe wanted to get a better lap there, Sam, and some maybe not. But we're going to get ready to rock and roll. So this is going to be fun, and it's going to go quick too. And we'll see how all these guys, handle this. But you brought it up, Sam, and we stressed on this last week. Tires. Well, with this latest update of iRacing, tires it's so big. Like I sound like we're beating a dead horse, but tires is going to be a big thing. Who can save the tires? Until you get to the next stage. So
yeah, we might be beating so hard that we get down to just the ground at the end of the night, because tires is for sure going to be the topic throughout the night as the drivers are pacing currently, going down into turn number 1 for themselves. Again, this track, if you haven't been watching NASCAR for the last couple of years, you wouldn't have known that this surface has been changed. These drivers, what used to be known as turns 1 and 2 is now 3 and 4. What used to be turns 3 and 4 is now turns 1 and 2. We're now officially on the backstretch, and you saw the pace car. He's already off the track. These drivers technically pace themselves for a whole lap before they get underway. But we're entering turns 3 and 4, which means it's time to go racing here for the European Wax Center 160 at Phoenix Raceway, and it's going to be the 15, that of Vincent Sora, taking us to the charge. As they're already going 2-3 wide through the dogleg into turn number 1. It's all Sora, but Danny Cochran losing a couple of positions. That 2 still stuck on the outer lane.
2 stuck on the outer lane, but we'll find out which lane's going to be working the best here tonight, Sam. Is it going to be the outside lane? Will it be the bottom lane, eventually, as rubber builds up on this track? But you'll see what these guys are making the first lap around here. Man, they duck down to that apron, and I don't know if you want to go through the dog leg like that or not. We got somebody spinning in the back.
That's going to be seen. Michael Yarrow, Alexander Light, both making contact with one another, and plenty of others. Bryce Culver in the 9 is going to be slow, finally going to get himself rolling. Tyler Dangler, you see on screen in the 19, he was caught up in the wall, but it's going to be Michael Yarrow as well. It's going to be actually that Michael Yarrow, just the 98 in general, going to be the first driver to get loose, as we're going to be seeing the aftermath from that of Alexander Light, just driving on his own. But watch out for that 98 black and red machine. He's going to get loose. He's on the racing surface and just breaks loose, tries to save it, overcorrects, comes right down into the 9 of Culver, and just nothing that he could do. A sitting duck, then blinks, and once that 98 drifts back into the racing surface, right in front of the 19 as well as the 97, and Alexander Light, just nowhere to go, runs right into that of Yarrow.
Wow, I wonder what caused that. Too much. Would that be too much grip? And then it lost grip, and like driving on ice, and all of a sudden you go off of ice on the pavement, and the tires just automatically just grab. What do you think will cause that, Sam?
I was riding on board. I think it just got randomly loose on him, like right when he hit the apex of the dogleg. Majority of the time, drivers actually prefer going down on the apron because they know how to react, because when they go from the racing surface down to the apron, they know there's a little bit of air time that you go through, or just that sensation of feeling like you're loose, that you just have to hold the steering wheel straight and you're going to be all right. But it looked like just Michael Yarrow wasn't expecting to get that loose sensation. Instead of holding the steering wheel straight, it just broke loose, overcorrected, and just lost it from there. And the 98 already going to be damaged. He had to take the tow to pit road, and already seen some drivers being involved. But this is, we hate to see this early caution come out, but in past Phoenix races, Phoenix can be notoriously known for a caution breeding track where drivers try to go in the dogleg. They either stay on that racing surface, and that awareness level certainly can be low at times, and drivers can be running into one another, bringing out a lot of cautions. Sometimes Phoenix can be more of a stay green track at times, but that's if the drivers are spaced out and have plenty of room between one another.
Very, very true. Very true, Sam. So, yeah, we'll have to see how this all, like I said, it's going to roll for these guys. Man, that's a shame. What makes it so bad, too, first caution, no one ever want to see it, but they've got no fast repair. I mean, get any kind of damage, you're going to have to deal with it for the rest of, 155 laps of trying to get that thing fixed, and just scrounge and claw, to get what you can out of it. And the best thing is don't give up, because you never know. But, it happens to the best of them, right? I mean, we know Michael Yarrow is a very good driver, and all these guys out here are really good drivers. So that's something you really don't see something come out, underneath him. So that caught him off guard. But, well, Vincent Sora, Tom Simchek on the top side, and Tom had a great run last week, Sam, and we'll see if he can duplicate what he did last week. But here we are. Green flag is out.
Green flag is out, and drivers trying different strategies up front. some, diving immediately down on the apron to try to cut down on the distance of this track. The big thing when you try to cut down is you got to make sure you get back up to help your entry into turn number 1. But Vincent Sora, that of Danny Cochran, Tom Sinjek, as well as Justin Lewis, all in line. But here comes the battling for that 4th place position. The 88 of Lewis, he's got Steven Stympian now on the inside, making the charge down onto the apron and trying to gain all those positions and angles. And now it's going to be still a mad dash between the 81 and the 88.
81 and 88 is going to be battling. Oh, as we got our second caution out now within the first 7 laps here, Sam. So let's see here. That's going to be on.
That is going to be another driver having issues. That's going to be Carl Pooler, who's going to be the initial driver. Hard contact for the 71, and as well, Jamie Lee Dunning, who's going to be involved with this.
And there's that damage model that we've been talking about last week. Let's see here. See what happens.
Watch out
to
for
him.
Jamie. The big thing for Jamie Lee Dunning, watch out for the 71 ahead of him. It's going to be seen the 71 goes on the apron here at the dog leg, then gets loose, comes back down, and the 4, after trying to react because of that incident, just oversteps. Hard impact into the wall in both the 71 and the 4, destroying their suspension for their tires, and both having to come into pit road for required damage.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a required damage there. And, you know, we were talking about the new damage model there right before we went to that replay, and you can see them scraping. Look at the sparks flying off that thing. And, you know, you said, you know, these engines, ladies and gentlemen, like Sam said last week, you know, you can beat them until a dead horse and they don't die because the horse doesn't want to die. It didn't make no sense. Anyways, but the cars, like, man, you just get a scrape, and it's like your front end wants to fly off.
Oh, yeah, no, completely. And the big thing for Dunning is the fact that it's the front right tire just completely got broke, shattered, and it is just a wobbling mess. That's why he had to come into pit road. We hope to see that 4 get fixed up and back on track. Same for the 71 of Carl Pooler. Both are going to be having major time into pit road because of their damage repairs that they need to get. And now it's the question of how many cautions are we going to get here tonight? Because that is right there. We saw the first yellow was one driver of Yarrow getting out of control. Luckily for Michael Yarrow, he is back out on track. Going to be 2 laps down is that 98, but heavier contacting and damage going to be now for the 4 and then 71. We might see a couple of yellows, maybe 5 to 6, before we start to see, you know, some of these drivers that are up front finally get that time to space out from one another. But from the middle of this pack on back, it seems like those drivers really struggling with that loose sensation.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like here. And so, again, man, I don't know what to say. I don't know about going down that dog leg. I know if I was out on the track, I wouldn't use that dog leg. Two reasons. Like you said, you got to make sure you get up to get into the next entrance. When you go through there and get up, you got to get into the racing groove. There could be a car above you, and if that spotter gets a delay or falls asleep or is eating ice cream on a hot Phoenix night, you know, before you know it, you know, you're into somebody and you could cause a big checkup and a big mayhem. Second, Sam, is that these cars, they like, you know, you got to seal the splitter off. You got to get that car as low as you can to keep that air from going up underneath it. And as you're going off the racing surface, and it's a pretty abrupt, it's from going from the racing surface to the dog leg, it can damage that splitter if you hit it hard enough. And that's why you're hearing, you know, if anybody wants to know what that noise is, it's the cars actually hitting the track, scraping, and sparks flying. So I don't know if I would drive down there, man. I get it, it's the fastest way around the track, but is it the safest way around?
Yeah, the drivers certainly are going to be picking and choosing how they can survive. The safest route, though, Michael Yarrow even tried that, but it didn't work out for himself. That's what brought out our first yellow. So I think a lot of these drivers trying to pick and choose where they feel the safest and most comfortable. We'll see how they want to attack here for this next go-around. We've had 2 incidences already bring out yellows here in our first 11 laps of this race. We're coming to the start of lap 12. Do want to remind the audience, we do have a stage break at lap 40 for these drivers. at that stage break, top 10 get bonus points. So everyone's aiming to get inside the top 10. And for Vincent Sora, if he can somehow get to 10 bonus points here and Zach Hall can't, this 15 could potentially lock up the championship tonight based on the way that he's running right now. As we're going to be green into turn number 12, and Vincent, so I mean for us on lap number 12, as it's going to be the 15 running well for himself. But there's James Kaufman. That's our bubble driver for 10th place.
10th place is here. We're watching him right there in at number 25 get under Brandon Colley, and he's got Brian Johnson, Cedric Hunter up there in front of him with Chris up there. But they're battling as you go down. Oh, and listen to that. Oh, he got a little loose hitting down on there. Yeah, that's a little dangerous. I don't know if I like that, man.
Oh, speaking of loose and dangerous, Colley for a quick second on the entry of that corner. Got himself a little dangerous, but as well, the sunlight through the corner. You saw the beaming sun. These drivers dealing with sunset conditions, meaning that the entry of turn 1 is going to be, and the exit of turn 2, heavily dangerous if you are not careful. And right now, Colley losing positions as he's gained 4, but now he's going to lose a couple with how these drivers are running around him.
Yep, we're going to watch right here. It looks like Colley's falling back a little bit more, but like you said, right there going to the end, that sun is bright there. As we got Brian Johnson. Wow.
Johnson spun around and on the exit of turn 2. Not a driver we really consider someone who is going to be a driver that gets spun around very often. And this is going to be an interesting replay to see what brought out our third caution, because when you think of stability, that's what this 28 gives you. Is usually it's not a mistake, but here we go. You're going to be seeing the 17 of Willicks going to be on the outside, but it's going to be that of Justin Lewis. Watch on the exit of the corner, backs off because of the 17, which causes the 28 to back off. Cedric Hunter, the tap that spins Johnson around.
Okay. All right. I was going to say, because like you just said, Sam, I couldn't tell you the last time I seen Brian Johnson spin out. Like literally, ladies and gentlemen, that just totally, wow, happens to the best, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, you usually see Johnson, if he's going to be involved in a wreck, it's because someone else is wrecking around him, and it takes him around. But
right.
You don't usually see him just solo spinning.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't see him solo spinning like that. That's wow, that just caught me like way off guard. But
as the drivers all coming into pit road, Brian Johnson did not get required damage for himself, so should still be good. Just come in, get a little bit of repairs, anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds of repairs, and should be back out there on track. As you see the 28 there on our screen. But do want to give note that of Jamie Lee Dunning as well as Carl Pooler still in pit road with their damage that they got for that second caution. They've been in pit road for over 6 minutes, and for Carl Pooler about to be even more than that, and expected for them to continue to stay in pit road for anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes in total. So they could be anywhere from that of 40 to maybe even 55 to 60 laps down by the time they get back out on track.
yeah, well, you know what though? You take it with a grain of salt there, Sam, right? I mean, your race is over. You got no chance of winning the race, but you know, as long as you stay out of people's way, go out there. Seat time is so crucial, especially in a simulation game that iRacing brings us. The better seat time you get, the more seat time you get, the better you can get at racing, you know, around and get build a racecraft, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and you never know how many more positions you could try to grab with the amount of carnage we've already seen here in just the first 15 laps of this race. Obviously, we can see more cautions come out, which, yes, this track is very slow that we can see into the corners, so they're not, you know, complete devastating wrecks that we're going to be seeing like we would see at the mile-and-a-half courses or even bigger tracks. But at the same time, there is always that chance of destroying yourself and getting into some trouble in the longer run. But as the drivers are pacing around here, Robert, I mean, I think, you know, the factor we were talking about before we went green for this race of tires, at this rate, they're really not a factor at all.
Very true. Very true. I mean, what did we get? A total of maybe, 5 laps, green flag? maybe 7 laps green flag in total within 3 cautions. So this is very, very different from what we've seen here with these guys here on Saturday night. So I don't know, man. I don't know if it's just the way the track is. It could be the setup. It could be the car. It could be the car and setup. I don't think it's the drivers, honestly. I really don't believe that. I just think it's either one of the 2 factors. It's either the setup or just the way the car is handling here tonight out of Phoenix, and they're trying to get the grips on it here.
I think it just is the track itself. I mean, Phoenix, we've seen almost all the wrecks that have come out were on the front stretch. That was the first time that we saw drivers just checking up because of how close they've been up front, seeing that Johnson being spun around. But let's see if the drivers can survive and we can get driving longer than just 5 laps as the green flag is out. And it's going to be Danny Cochran going to be taking the lead on the go, able to make the pass while we were green that last time by. We'll see if Vincent Sora, who gets aggressive onto the inside quarter panel, but Danny Cochran talked about getting a little bit more rubber on that outer lane so they can start moving. Well, it's there, and now the 2 able to hold on for now.
Did you see that start with Danny there? He was going to go down on the dog leg and then came back up on the track. I do believe they got a rule that at a start or restart, you're not allowed to go down onto the dog leg until you complete basically a lap.
Well, it's after you cross the start-finish line, then you can go down. That's the ruling that they were told. So you have to cross the start-finish line, then the dog leg is free after that point. That's why we're seeing these drivers, after they come across the line, we'll see it here. It's going to be Danny Cochran up front as well as that of Sora, Stympian, Senchak, and Willix. But see, as they cross the line, then they dive it down low.
Gotcha. Okay. I just happened to see, I was wondering why Danny, went to go dive down there and then went back up and decided to stay up on the track. And I thought maybe the rule applied that he couldn't go. Okay. Just ignore me, ladies and gentlemen. I misinterpreted the rule and I would have got penalized if I was out there.
It was one of those rules where it was a very last minute today, told by the drivers, hey, this is going to be the rule moving forward tonight. After some of the testing that's been going on, we just wanted to make sure that all the drivers understood what they were getting themselves into tonight. And obviously, I was slightly confused by the rule as well when I was reading it until seeing it visually. Then I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right,
and as a visual learner myself, hey, it helps when you've got when you get to see these drivers practicing it out there.
Very true, very true. Yeah, when you visual, I'm the type of guy, I'm a hands-on guy like you, Sam. Just let me go do it, and I'll get it. But telling me how to do it, yeah, that doesn't work so well with me. So, yeah, let me go mess it up and break things, and then I'll be like, well, not do that again. But right now we're riding here with Cedric Hunter up here, battling here with Justin and Chad there in the number 17, and 88's just right behind him here. And I do notice too, the lights just came on, Sam. So we are going from late afternoon into early evening. So this track temperature should cool down a little bit more, which will give these guys a little bit more grip out there.
Yeah, just slightly a little bit more grip as the drivers coming into the night. Temperature was around that of 79 degrees, and the track temp was around 83 degrees. As we've been running, it's dropped both down by 1, so it's now officially 78 degrees Fahrenheit for that of the ambient temperature and 82 on track. So these drivers get slightly more grip to work with, but this is the perfect temperature for great racing here at Phoenix, especially with how hot the desert can be. I think all these drivers are happy that they're not racing on a scorcher of 110 to 130 degrees on this track temp.
Very true for some. Now, I know there's some drivers out there, Sam, that will disagree with you, and that would be like Zach Hall. He likes, and I only found this out, I knew a little bit about it, but I found out last night on our broadcast for that special broadcast that we did. Zach likes bumpy tracks. Brian Johnson likes smooth tracks. I didn't know that, and I never even put that together and realized the tracks that Zach Hall does good at is tracks that got the, a little rough, a little bumpy here and there, things like that, when Brian Johnson doesn't like to deal with the bumps. So that's just something to throw out there if we can remember, in the future, or depending on what track we go to, you'll see how they run here. But right now we still got, Tom Simchek you got to give this guy credit. He had a great run last week, sponsored the race last week. He finished up there in the podium, and he's right now running in fourth. So, yeah, it might be towards the end of the season here, but it looks like his season's starting to turn around again here, Sam.
I mean, this is what you love to see, is drivers that had a ton of misfortunes in the first half of the season just slowly just find momentum. Again, this is only season 4 for that of the WSSR iRacingiFlag Cup Series. We have season 5 going to be coming up here very quickly after this season's done. So I think for a lot of these drivers, recognizing if I can find the right momentum and groove by the end of season 4, I know I'm going in the right direction to set myself up for a great performance for season 5. And that certainly is what we're seeing here from Tom Cynchik, that's felt very comfortable in this Gen 7 Cup machine. It's just been the luck at the end of the day that's been the big struggle, as we see some of the newcomers that came in last week. Here's Justin Lumpkin back in 14th for the 61 and kind of just running his own race. And right behind Justin Lumpkin will be the driver that we were just talking about, Zach Hall, who needs a great run here tonight. But Robert, you noted on it during qualifying, Zach has not felt very comfortable here at Phoenix.
Yeah, and it's showing right now, only 30 laps into this. Maybe he's biding his time, until we get to the stage. But, from the data that we got all week on Zach Hall, he just was not feeling comfortable out there tonight. So I don't know what adjustments he's going to try to do to get it, a little bit better. He's got to figure something out. He's got to get that car, up to the front there, because you got Vincent Sora right now, 2/10 behind Danny Cochran right now there in second position. So basically right now, if we would finish this race as we look like he's going to try to take over Justin here right now for 14th and 15th position, the battle up there. But, Vinny could walk out of here locking this thing up. Like, literally, unless Vinny decides not to show up next week and loses all them points, which we know won't happen.
Yeah, if he didn't show up, that certainly would give a wide open window to Zach to come in and swoop that championship away. But, yeah, the big thing for Vincent Sora, if he finds his way coming into tonight, he had a 21-point lead over that of Zach Hall. If Vinny somehow gets past Danny Cochran and wins at our stage break, which is coming up very quickly here at the end of lap 40, this too certainly could be a stopper of just at least 1 point away from holding back Vincent Sora, which for Zach Hall, he needs every point possible here tonight, and it doesn't help when one of the fastest competitors of the night is the driver that you need to get in front of.
Yeah, that's hard, and then especially when you're struggling on a track and can't figure it out, or the track's just not being nice to you. It's an uphill battle, and he's going to have to do it all night. Now, I know Zach Hall's got the smarts to do it in that, machine, but still, you don't want to be battling like that. You know what I mean? You want to be faster than the guy you need to be faster to beat if you're chasing down a championship, because, the beginning of the season really didn't all play out really well for Zach Hall. He had his averages finishes. And here's another stat, ladies and gentlemen. This is what really caught me off guard, and Zach told me this last night. If Zach finishes up and, doesn't win the championship, as of right now, depending on what he does here tonight, of course, and what he does next week, Sam, he could have the best average finish of the league and not win the championship.
Yeah, and that's just coming away with bonus points that Vincent Sora has been grabbing, as well as just the wins. I mean, that's the big thing for Vincent Sora. I mean, he's got 3 wins to start the season off, while Zach Hall has just gone with the more consistent route. He has not won at all this 24 machine, as he's back in 12th and on the lead charge. Coming up to 4 laps to go here in the stage break. And Zach Hall's done a great job of climbing up to 12th, but he needs to get a couple of more positions to crack into the top 10, because at our stage break at the end of lap 40, only the top 10 get bonus points. Starting off with the winner of the stage break, it's 10 points, 9 points goes to second, and it just continues to drop down 1 point after another until we get to 10th, where they get 1 point. If you're not in the top 10, 0 bonus points at the end of lap 40. As Brian Johnson, after the spill that he had, great recovery from this 28 machine. He's up to 8th. I mean, that was the one spill where he could have had massive damage. Instead, he just had to come in for 6 seconds of repairs.
Yeah, like you said, these cars are, well, I thought they were adorable, you know, like, not adorable. Let me rephrase that. Man, what's the word I'm hunting for, Sam?
Fragile?
Not fragile, where you could beat them up pretty bad without
Oh,
breaking 'em.
durable is the right word. They're durable is the
Okay.
right word.
Well, I totally lost train of thought that I was going to say. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But well, you know, go back to Brian Johnson. I mean, yeah, he did that little spin. You know, as we're getting ready here for the stage, 6 seconds. That doesn't seem too bad. He probably just got a little bit of the front end there smashed up a little bit. But right now, he's really battling hard up here with Chad. Right now, is trying to figure out how he wants to get by, but. We're looking at right now, it looks like Danny Cochran's eventually gonna take this stage win here. And you know, real quick, Sam, they're talking about the points. They did find a little flaw in the points. They've been awarding too many stage points to winners, and that's why Vincent's up there too. Yeah, Zach Hall hasn't won the races, but you know, bonus points is the huge thing, like you said. So. I do know next season, season 5, that there's going to be a new structure layout that me and you actually got to look at and study.
Yeah, and you know, the bonus points, if you won the race, you got 3 extra bonus points compared to everyone else on top of the base stage bonus points that Vincent Sora was grabbing. So there was a lot to be earned. And for Vincent Sora, he coming into the night had 60 bonus points over this whole entire stint so far. The next closest was 38. It's been wild to look at the stats. But for these drivers, the stage break is done. Danny Cochran comes away as your stage winner. And your top 10 getting stage bonus points. Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, Steven Stympian, Tom Sinchek, Brandon Colley, Brian Johnson, Chad Wilkes, as well as Justin Lewis, Cedric Hunter, and Brad Delph going to be your top 10. Congratulations to all top 10 drivers. And for us at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're going to step aside as the drivers go into pit road, get service done. When we come back, we'll see where they line up. And we'll get ready for the rest of the race here at the European Wax Center 160.
Drivers, start your engines!
4, 3, 2, 1, green screen.
I have no rear grip whatsoever. I'm sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man. Do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to that of the World Series of Sim Racing iRacingiFlag Cup Series action. Season 4, race number 7 here tonight for that of the European WEC Center 160 at Phoenix Raceway. Thank you for joining us here on Saturday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. So far, we've had ourselves plenty of yellows here in stage number 1, but the stage break is done. No more stages to be seen, and it's time to see how these drivers are going to be running for the rest of the night. Here at Phoenix, pace car's already in, but the drivers get to pace for the majority of this lap as they're getting ready to get rolling. A little bit of change up. Vincent Sora falls back to 5th for himself. That is a fall off from where he was in 2nd. We'll see if the 15 can climb his way forward as these drivers are stacked up, ready to go. My name is Sam Dyer. With me doing double duties, Robert Moyer, commentating and producing as we are green. Again, no more stage breaks. It's all about who can finish and get the win of these 160 laps.
160 laps total here that they're going to be running here tonight. As, Danny, he got into the apron. Does he save it?
And it's gone. Spun around and, he drifts back down. And right into the 9 of Kobler.
And we'll watch on this replay here, Sam. He hit the apron, and it just upset that car, which we don't call him off guard.
Oh, and I know he got loose. The driver that got the worst of it is going to be that of Bryce Kobler in the 9. Like you said, came down, touches the yellow line, hits the apron, and just that shimmy gets the 2 up. He's trying to save it, but it's already gone. There's nothing really much you can do with these cars once you get loose. And Danny Cochran, watch his tires, though. He's going to just let it drift, hope that he can come down, and that little contact to the 9, breaking the rear suspension. And Kobler now has to come into pit road. Heavy damage, has to take the tow, and he's going to be going multiple laps down for himself.
Oh, man. Danny, you know better. Brakes, 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 brakes. Hold the brakes. Anyways, yeah, that's a shame, man, because now you got a car that's got to go in and get required damage, and that's not definitely something you don't want to see here, but well, move on from it. Still got plenty of more racing to go yet.
Yeah, for the 9, his race most likely done for a good finish for Danny Cochran. Luckily, he's just going to get him away with just a little bit of damage, and he'll be still running out there on track. So I feel like that's usually how the racing goes, is the driver that gets involved in the incident doesn't usually get the worst of it. It's the aftermath drivers that get the brunt of the damage during those wrecks. Yeah. As Danny Cochran going to come into pit road now to get service done potentially here. A couple of other drivers could think about following suit in to top off on fuel. Could be a strategy for some, but we didn't run a long enough stint. I don't think drivers really feel like they have to come in to top off on fuel.
Nope, not yet. So we'll go back here while we're pacing under caution here for the 5th time here with WSSR. We'll see here. We got Chuck back here. No, I'm not going to call you Chuck, Chuck Norris this week there, Chuck Sweeney, But he's back here in 9th position in the top 10. Good run. You got James back here, too, having a really good run. He's just in a 10th position here. Good run for him. That 25 is looking to have the finish this season off strong here. And then we'll go back here to the 17 of Chad. He's up in the front, back of the front. His car, I'm not exactly sure if he even knows what his car wants. 1 minute he's fast, 1 minute he's slow. Then we come back here to the 61 of Justin. He's looking good, just running his race, biding his time, doing his thing here. And then what's really shocking is we got Tyler, Zach Hall, Alex Light all back here in 14th, 15th, 16th position. You got Justin back here in the 88, and then you got Bob Skinner back here in 18th, still back here running all by himself, basically. And then you got the last yellow guy there of Danny Cochran, unfortunately. And then you got James Hackworth back here in the 20th position. And then you got Michael Yarrow rebounding back to the lead lap, Sam. After that first spin that he had, he's now on the lead lap.
Yeah, back on the lead lap, has luckily found himself into positionings where the drivers that were a lap down in front of him, they were having too many issues where they were able to just gain all those or in pit road, and so enabled that of Yarrow to get himself back onto the lead lap as the drivers get set and ready to go. As the pace car goes in, it's going to be Steven Stimpy and Tom Sinchek, Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora, that of Brandon Colley, as well as Cedric Hunter, Brad Delph, Christopher Norris, Chuck Sweeting, and James Kaufman going to be your top 10 drivers ready to get rolling here. Again, thank you for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Put in a like, put in a comment. We'll see if we can respond to you either in chat or even on the broadcast as the drivers are set, ready to go. They're in the restart zone, and we are green for Steven Stimpian as he's gone, and the rest of the field, they're trying to pick and choose how they're going to take these positions as it's side-by-side for second place.
Side-by-side for second. You got side-by-side for fourth and fifth position there, and then you got Cedric Hunter riding back there behind Brandon Colley, trying to figure out where he wants to go. It looks like he's going to slide up, and it looks like Brandon Colley's going to stay down on the low line right now there, Sam, and run that low line as we got Brian Johnson now going to be looking to see if he can do something here with Steven Stempian that's now found he's pulling out to a little bit of lead. So that 81's looking pretty strong right now.
Looking good for now. The question is, will we see a yellow? Because further back in the field, I'm watching they are getting frisky with one another. As up front, they're keeping it pretty steady, single filed out. I feel like this is how most of the season has been. Is there's a few drivers here or there that can pick and choose, to make a pass for one position, maybe two positions in a run, and are primarily just trying to save their tires. And you see all the way down on the apron, that's going to be the white and blue Vincent Sora trying to climb his way up into the lead position as he's battling with Tom Sinchek as we're riding on the back bumper of Colley now in the one, and getting a good position as the 15 just gets loose, loses ground, and falls back. But the majority of this lead pack, I think they're just thinking, let's save our tires and hold out for that long run.
That's what I would do. I'd save tires and hold off for the long run because they'll eventually here, get into a long run. But we see Vincent Sora, he was up here running in second and first position before that stage here, Sam. And now he's back here running in sixth position. And I don't think these cars like dirty air too much. Something we do talk about here now and then. Tire saving. Tires go away within 5 laps. And now you also got, dirty air yet that they have to deal with. So do you know a little bit more about the dirty air with these cars?
Yeah, especially on the entries of turns 3 and into turn 1. Drivers are going to be on the brakes, also shifting down, trying to maximize their speed. But if you are following directly behind someone else in front of you, that dirty air wash really tightens up the entry of these cars. Got to turn a little bit more as we're riding on board with Sora, and you just see there a little bit loose through the center, but really having to work that wheel to make sure he's hitting his mark. So it's costing some time, and the shimmying coming from on the dog leg back onto the racing surface. But these drivers feeling that tightness. You even see it here on the entry of turn 1, just really having to work that wheel, which is tight in, loose off, and saw it directly on screen.
Yeah, we definitely seen that on screen there, didn't we? Yeah, wow. Ain't that something? Interesting. So, yeah, these things are tight for these drivers right now. And you can also see, like I said, we're starting to get down into the dust now of nighttime here. And, man, these cars are throwing off a lot of sparks. Yeah, every car that's going through is throwing off a lot of sparks. But we'll go back here to Brad Delph. Haven't talked much about him here all night. He's back here running in 7th position, almost inside the top 5, outside the top 10 there. And he's looking pretty good as we've got Christopher Norris trying to bounce back. He goes down, and he looks like he's going to be able to power move right by that 14 machine there from Christopher Norris.
Yeah, Christopher Norris, right now our biggest mover of the night, really has been trying to change the way that he's been represented. Talladega a few weeks ago really was not his highlight of the season. Real down low with some of the racing that we saw from the 54, but certainly has been changing it up. Had a strong run at Miami last week, and even here tonight, staying in the top 10. That's the goal of this 54. Just try to get more and more consistent each week at all the tracks that we go to. He's doing a great job at that as these drivers starting to see the 54 now getting the commentator's curse. I think he wants us to get off of him with falling back. So we'll move up to second place because Brian Johnson and Brandon Colley, they're starting to get a little bit frisky here as that of Brian Johnson. overall, when it's outside of the league, teammates with the one of Kali and with Stympian. But here in the WSSR iRacing Cup Series, these drivers are not on the same team, as it's a 2-on-1. Johnson all by himself.
Johnson all by himself, yeah, and then his other teammate is Vincent Sora, but, well, we just talked about where he's at. He's back there in 6th position right now. So, yeah, he's got teammates, but like you said there, Sam, tonight, no, he does not. not right now with, you got the Stympian Collie there, like a sandwich in the middle, unfortunately, and they're going to try to figure out what they can do with it. And I got to give bravos again. We said at the beginning of tonight's broadcast, keep an eye out for that number 1 machine, and running up here in 3rd, this guy is overdue for a win. And would a win come huge for this number 1 machine and the crew? Yes, it would, ladies and gentlemen. We definitely would like to see that one get in there. Not that I wouldn't want to see my other car teams that I own out there as a Steven Stympian, but what do you think it would do for for Kali to get for Kali to get a win?
Especially with the ceiling of the drivers that he's racing with, this would be massive for that for Kali. I mean, he's won in many of different series that we've covered here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, but it just seems like with this collection of drivers, it has been all about how do you get it done at the end of the day. They've tried to help him back at Talladega to finally get a win, but like I said, the cards just didn't align for him to get that win at Talladega. But here tonight, certainly is looking like a strong run for that of Brandon Kali, but still a lot of racing, still a pit stop to be seen for these drivers. And I think that's the big thing. How is the pit strategy going to help these drivers that are up front, still very close with one another? And Steven Stympian, is he getting too much of a gap lead as Kali trying a little bit of a different entry into turns 1 and 2, and it really worked out to get a better run. There you see trying to make the pass for 2nd. But I'm curious for Steven Stympian, is he making this gap lead because of the hard battling for 2nd, or is he overusing those tires? And for Kali, he certainly is using every grip that he's got on these tires currently.
Well, most definitely. He's got something going on in 3 and 4. 1 and 2 doesn't look very strong for him, or am I getting the turns wrong? Probably getting them wrong.
I think you're getting a little bit mixed up.
Am
This
I
is
backwards
turns
yet?
3 and 4.
Okay.
They're going through, and then they're coming out of the corner. I mean, Kali that time looked a lot better.
Yeah.
And diving it down, going even lower than the majority of these drivers go for the dog leg. Just trying his best to cut down on that time. And, he got it to work that go around. That last lap, though, entry to turn 1 was really hurt by how low he was. And what's interesting over the radio, it's Tom Simchek just complimenting on that pass. He is so shocked by how low that these drivers have been attacking one another.
Wow. Well, ain't that something to come over the channel and say, way to go to a competitor on a pass on Brian Johnson? You don't hear that too often, do you?
Not very often, but again, you got to think for the drivers that are in our top 6, technically they're all under the same banner outside of this league. So they're all part of the same team. They always have worked with one another, and they love to see, competitors, yes, here tonight, but as well friends that they've watched just grow as competitors each and every week that goes in. And I think that's awesome to see these drivers over the radio just continuing to work with one another. But you talked about the sparks. That's where we're seeing the majority of them, that transition from the racing surface down to the apron through the dog leg. That's where the sparks are grinding, coming up. It's not hurting these cars, but visually, it certainly looks like it is.
Yeah, visually it looks like it. And you would think, as much beating and banging that they're doing to them splitters and, the diffuser on the diffuser, oh God, I'm out of words. Hitting like that, Sam, you would imagine eventually that would just start, getting a little damage to the cars, but apparently not.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's more of a visual aspect. It was kind of because in the real world, yes, you can predict on how going on the apron can hurt the car. It's really uncertain on, especially on the height of the cars when you're making the setups, that you just cannot make that type of a small change on the track surface to the car and the damage-wise visually, as well as just making it hurt mechanically for these drivers. So instead, they just made it look visually like it's sparking up a lot, but it's not not hurting the cars at all in any performance-wise, but visually does look cool at times, as we see here drivers trying to make their charge. Zach Hall finally cracking the top 10 with that of Chuck Sweeting behind him, and certainly starting to see an enrichment of drivers making their charge forward. And I do want to give a note. I threw it out there. Biggest mover of the day was that of Christopher Norris. Well, ever since I made that statement, he has fallen back to 16th. I'm sorry, Norris, for giving you the commentator's curse.
Wow. What a nice guy you are. Don't talk about anybody else now.
To be fair, I did note, hey, if you're being way too aggressive, being way too fast, those tires are gonna hurt you. And I think that might have been what happened to Norris here, just too over aggressive, and now he's feeling the pain as the run continues to stay green.
Yeah. Well, you just brought it out. You know, you feel like Superman for the first 5 to 10 laps, and then after that, you're done with these new tire models that they have on these next-gen cars. So it's still a learning curve for a lot of these drivers, you know, and as the weeks go on, they'll learn what they can and cannot do and figure out what they need to do to keep the speed in it. And, you know, with Brandon Colley getting around, you know, Johnson, maybe Johnson, you know, said, you know what, I'm going to back off here for a little bit, and you go, and I'm going to save my tires, and I'll see you in the next 15 laps.
Could be the big thing to watch out for. Is how are these drivers going to be attacking? Here comes now as these drivers in the middle of the field that we're watching being very aggressive with one another. And certainly, you know, as you're right on board with Chuck Sweeting, just seeing all the different ways that you can go through the dog leg, some staying on the racing surface, some going down on the apron, and that decision, more of a comfortability. Yes, if you go down on the apron, you are cutting down on the race, you know, the distance of this racetrack, because the more you're on the inside lane, the shorter way around the course, but at the same time, you're hurting your entry into turn 1, which has always been the downside. But yeah, you always have to pick and choose which one you feel like is going to be a better choice. Zach Hall now moving up to 9th, trying to make the pass here for 8th. But do want to give note for some drivers further back. Talked about the contact between the two of that of Danny Cochran as well into the 9. Bryce Colbert and Colbert Blur going to be a driver that has DNF'd. He is done for the night for the 9, as well as another driver joining that of Bryce, going to be Jamie Lee Dunning, who is done for the 4 as well. We have a couple of drivers that have come into pit road. Carl Pooler is going to be the next to come in, but currently right now going to have 21 drivers on the lead lap.
21 drivers on the lead lap, going to try to finish this thing out right now, where you've been staying green for a very long time now here. The last time they pitted was on lap 42, 43, give or take there, Sam. So this is the longest green flag run they're having, and you can see Zach's car starting to come alive a little bit here as we've been watching him back here in 8th position. But you know who you can see right up in front of him right there is that 15 of Vincent Sora, and that's the guy that he's going to have to go after.
Yeah, and especially on the fact that Vincent Sora got 9 bonus points from that stage break. So that technically now puts all the bonus points for on top of the points what they were looking like before today's race. Vincent Sora is up to a 30-point gap lead over Zach Hall currently. That's not taking in the win, bonus points that could be grabbed, or leading the lap. So Zach Hall, he certainly is recognizing he has to move up, needs to get a top 3 finish, if not a win, and he also is going to need that of Vincent Sora to somehow get wrecked out of this race.
Well, man, you just took the words out of my mouth. Unfortunately, we don't want to see anybody get wrecked out, but we need something. Zach needs something. Let me rephrase that, ladies and gentlemen. Not we. Zach needs something to happen to that 15 machine, you know, drastically to have a chance here, because just with, you know, finishing 1-2 positions behind Zach is not going to really do anything. It's just not going to happen. But we're watching right now. We just watched Cedric Hunter there get around Brian Johnson, and now Brian Johnson is under attack from Vincent Sora, and also there of Tom Simchek. I'm not sure what's going on with Brian. I don't think he burned off his tires. He didn't seem like he was driving it that aggressive there at the beginning of the run, though, Sam.
I mean, even if visually it doesn't look like he's burning it all off, it's all about how much you're turning the wheel on top of how aggressive you are on the throttle in the entry of these corners. If you're turning too much, your tires are just sliding, and you see it there, just drifting up slightly is the 28, which is going to be killing those tires. Now Tom Sinchek's going to have a better run on the inside, as well as going to be seen that of the 2 trying to get into the mix there as Tom Sinchek goes on to the dogleg apron, actually hurting the 8 machine. I think he got a little bit looser than he wanted to be from that transition from the race surface to the apron, which going to lose a position to that Danny Cochran. Now soon to that is Zach Hall, and seems like both that of Brian Johnson, Tom Sinchek, both going in the wrong direction, which is backwards.
Yep, heading backwards, like you said, wrong direction. But you know what line that he was going to run there? Used to be 3 and 4. It was a Kevin Harvick line. You know, you used to be able to see Kevin Harvick get way down there, 2 tires underneath that yellow line, and sometimes he'd put the whole car down there. And I think we've seen Tom do that, didn't we, in the Gen 6?
Saw it in the Gen 6, and that was back at, I believe, in the old Saturday Night League we used to cover at New Hampshire. You would go down onto the apron, and it was, we both were shocked when we saw that happen. But certainly Tom Sinchek not afraid to be trying unique lines if he can find speed out of it.
Well, that's it. Tom Sinchek is, like you said, he's not scared to put the car where the car don't belong. And he'll do it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, then, well, then he's crap out of luck.
A reset, try again, somewhere else.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, you head to another track and try it again, right? I mean, and if it don't work, then you live and learn and say, well, don't do that again.
Well, for these drivers here tonight, they are starting to get into that window. We're past halfway, and the question is, when do you come into pit road for tires and fuel? Well, a service that we know, hey, it's the head sponsor of the whole entire league itself, iRacingiFlag. One of the best places to go. Talked about they're the best iFlag virtual flag system out there on iRacing. Well, they also give you that of a digital pit board. The digital pit boards is a different attachment on top of the iRacingiFlag FlagSys iFlag virtual flag system that gives you plenty of data, such as that of the weather, temp, track temp, also what your fuel average is looking like, and also your average per 5 laps, and can give you great information such as a basic visual spotter information that I think a lot of these drivers would have preferred to have earlier in the race when we were 2, 3, almost 4 wide at times. But if you'd like to go get yourself a digital pit board or even your flag system from iRacingiFlag, go to www.iracingiflag.com. Use our promo code FreakyFast2022 to get yourself a discount from that of iRacingiFlag. As well, big thanks to the Rookie of the Year sponsor here for that of the WSSR iRacingiFlag Cup Series, that at ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing, being our head sponsor for the Rookie of the Year. And right now, Vincent Sora top of that Rookie of the Year board, and he'll most likely take it at the pace that he's going, as well as take the championship for season 4. But if you'd like to go get yourself a game or two from ButtKicker, it's a way to feel the sounds instead of just hear them. So feel the rumblings of the cars when they go from the transition from the racing surface to the apron, back into the racing surface. I think we've been hearing. Instead, feel them with your ButtKicker. Use our promo code FreakyFast20 from that of ButtKicker for 20% off. Feel what you've been missing. As well, I want to give a big thanks to that at Advanced Sim Racing. You got your iRacingiFlag setups. You've also got your Gamer 2 ButtKicker. Well, you need something to attach it to, and that's where you go to Advanced Sim Racing, your eBay one-stop shop of sim racing equipment. You got your racing chassis, got your monitor stands. You've also got your wheels to grab and more at Advanced Sim Racing. Use our discount code FreakyFast5 for 5% off. Get your setups completely together so you are prepared for all the racing action out there. And as well, we got ourselves a 4th sponsor, which is crazy to think, but we've also going to be having that of Admin Box. Admin Box, one of the most recent added to here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We love to have sponsors joining us, giving you, the sponsors, a platform for us to share your equipment and also be a part of the community out there. And for the viewers, go out and use the promo code when you go to adminbox.com. Use FF BOXX. That is going to be Freaky Fast Broadcasting dash box. As you go use that discount code, go get yourself a 24% off of a $149 purchase with your admin box. It's a button box that allows you to have all the power you need to change everything on your black box while you're racing and more. The admin box, thanks for being our most recent addition to the Freaky Fast Broadcasting crew. As we are back here to racing action, Robert, these drivers, they've been keeping it clean, green since the stage break, but now we're starting to see the drivers that save their tires starting to make that march forward. But it's Steven Stympian who took the lead immediately at the go, and he has been so dominant right now with a 2-second lead over that of Collie.
Yeah, 2-second lead over Collie right now, so we'll have to see if Collie can figure some more speed out, or what's he going to learn when when these guys come in for their next pit stop, which should be here very shortly. We should start seeing that opening up for these guys to go make their pit stop. But what did Collie learn in this long stint run that he can apply or adjust to try to keep up with Steven Stympian? So, because this is a fixed setup, so there's only so much that you can tweak, so it's more about your driving style than it is to set up. Uh-oh.
Well,
never mind.
Maybe that will change everything. The 2, Danny Cochran, coming out. Second spin of the day. Second yellow's 5th on-track incident to bring out a caution. And it strikes right around the bubble of these drivers thinking about coming into pit road. As we take a look here at Danny Cochran, he's going to be racing side by side with Brad Delph, and these drivers battling it out for 8th position into the corner. And it's interesting to see. Just broke loose.
I don't even think he got into Brad Delph. It looked like he just broke loose, like you said.
Yeah. And with that incident, Danny Cochran frustrated, done, and is going to be DNF of the night for the 2 of Danny Cochran as well. Michael Yarrow going to come into pit road and be done for himself. But all that strategy that we were just talking about, throw it out the window.
Yeah, we don't.
You're good.
Yeah. They should be able to make it now here, lap 95 to 160 on fuel. I would imagine.
It's going to be 65 laps that they have to go. They're good on fuel. The question is on tires for themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, tires. So fuel's fine, tires, no.
We look back to old, the old build of the next gen car when it first came out. All the times that the drivers had to deal with tire issues here at Phoenix. Certainly was a blast to watch on how those drivers were going to test for themselves, but a clean 4 tires and go for Steven Stympian. And for Stympian, he's going to be one of the first drivers out that actually took a time in pit road. Brad Delph, though, issues for the 14. Don't believe he actually came in and got service done, missed his box under pit entry. And the 14 decided, you know what, I'm just going to come in this next go around, and here he goes into pit road.
Well, good thing about that is you led a lap. You got bonus points. The bad problem is now you're going to start last. And you lost all the positions.
Well, you say he led a lap, but technically, I don't even think he led a lap.
Oh, really?
No, because you got to think pit road for these drivers is the front stretch. So for that is Steven Stympian and others, they came across the line before Delph did. And so I believe Brad Delph never even led the lap.
Oh, now that just, I'd be complaining. That stinks. You mess up and then you're like, well, I'll just stay out and lead a lap. And then you realize, crap, I got to go in. You're right, where they got to enter pit road, drive all the way down the back stretch to get into their pit stall. Oh, man, that is rough.
A long stop, and many a times drivers, if he had green flag pit stops and a yellow struck, drivers could be stuck 2 laps down because of the ways that these drivers have to get around this course. Luckily, the yellow came out. I think for Steven Stympian and others up front, they might be thinking, well, good thing we don't have to think about strategy-wise for Stympian. He's probably thinking, I feel comfortable up front. There is one driver, though. If we get into another long green flag run, that I think all the drivers got to be thinking about, and that's Zach Hall. When we were coming to the end before that last yellow came out, the 24 for the last about 5 to 10 laps of that run, was the fastest car on track. So Zach Hall's found something on the long run. Short run speed might not be there as strong as Stympian or Sora or that of Brian Johnson, but when we get into those 30 to 40 laps and after that, that's when the 24 starts to find that true speed.
Also the biggest mover of the race right now, up 12 positions too there, Sam. So, yeah, I mean, he's starting in 6th position. You know, yeah, the short run speed in the first, 10 to 15 laps, he, it's just mediocre. But once you get into that back half of the run, he becomes fast. So if he can stay in here, 5th, 6th, 7th position, yeah, if they're front guys, I'd start worrying about that 24.
As the drivers get set and ready to go, laps are ticking away. No more stage breaks for these drivers. That ended back on lap 40, where got to see Danny Cochran get the stage break win. Not able to finish the race, though, for the 2 after struggles. But Steven Stympian, he's taking the lead, and he's hoping he can keep it as we're green once again for the European Wax Center 160 as they go scattering back out on track. And they're going to be 2, 3 wide coming down into turn number 1.
It come down into turn number 1, getting ready to exit turn number 2 as side by side, Steven Stympian, Vincent Sora. We got Brandon Colley. Look out into the wall, Colley.
That's a hard contact for the 1. He's hoping to keep the momentum, and he is for now. But how hard if a hit is that going to be hurting him for later on? But the battle for the lead is going to be between the 81 and the 15. Vincent Sora across the line, looking good for himself. Makes the clean pass with coming down on the apron, but here comes the wash up. Not a good entry for turn 1, which is going to be hurting the middle of the corner. More so hurts some other drivers, but they're wrecking behind.
Look out, there goes Norris and the 88. Justin, and there's more, and hit the brakes, guys. Where did that even start at, Sam? Oh my goodness, we had cars all over the place.
I believe that starts with the 19 of Tyler Dangler, and then the aftermath was a different incident between that of other drivers. But here is going to be the racing incident down into turn number 1. Brad Delph, Tyler Dangler, and Delph just gets into the throttle so much sooner, gets into the 19, gets him loose and overcorrection, and that's a race ender right there.
Yeah.
Then you see Norris and Justin Lewis, and that's going to be further ahead, exit of the corner when they make their contact, where Norris and Lewis both are sliding in contact, and Norris, I think he was able to stay off the wall. He might have brushed it just slightly, but certainly could have been a lot worse for the 54 and the 88.
Yeah, he scraped it a little bit. 88 gets completely missed as Carl Pooler goes and Alex Light goes around them. And brakes. Come on, 54, hit the brakes. The car's still rolling. Anyways.
He hit it there. And then
when it stops, you hit it when...
you see James Haffler Jr. just being courteous, slamming on his brakes.
Well, that's James.
That is probably one of the most James things that he would do.
Yeah, that is a James thing. James would just hit the brakes and say, hey, just go on by.
I'll keep myself out of trouble, and I won't risk anyone else being in trouble.
Yeah, that's James. I know James for 8 years now, and that's the type of driver that he is. But back to the race here, now that we're under yellow, the 7th yellow of tonight's race here. I got a question to ask you, Sam. The number 1 car hitting that wall. How bad do you think that hurt him?
I mean, it's hurt him not big enough, and I think in his eyes that he needs to come in pit road. I mean, with how hard he hit it, I thought it was a pretty hard lick that he was going to have to deal with that damage for a lot. But I think he might have done a perfect pancake where it didn't hurt the suspension, didn't hurt his engine, and he still looks pretty confident out there. So I think for Brandon Colley, he's just going to keep that car out there on track. I think if he was worried about the damage, he would have already came into pit road. But just because after the contact and the next 2 laps, he was still keeping up with Sora and Stympian, he's got to stick with the track position way more than thinking about coming into pit road for tires.
Yeah, I'm just looking here on the side of the car that he did hit, and I'm not seeing nothing crinkled up or anything like that. So, yeah, you might be right there, Sam. You know, you might have got lucky and just pancaked it. And if you pancake it right, I'm sure it's going to slow you down a little bit. But, what we're seeing here, it doesn't look too bad. So,
Yeah,
hopefully.
the fenders are beaten in just slightly, but that's about it. I mean, everything else looks. If you're not going back and forth between one car to the next, you'd think that the one looks fine. I mean, it's not too bad, and he's going to keep on running out there for Collie, but rest of the drivers getting stacked up, ready to go as they're about to get the one to go indication. And for these drivers, it is coming up. It's going to be when we go green. 55 laps to go for this field. They are good on tires, they're good on fuel, but if these drivers do have to come to pit road one more time, they do have 2 more extra sets of pit road to work with for the majority of the drivers that are up in our top 8. As our top 10 currently right now, Vincent Sora, Steven Stimpian, Brandon Colley, Brian Johnson, Zach Hall going to be your top 5 with Cedric Hunter, Chad Wilkes Thompson, Chuck Sweeting, and the 86 going to be your top 10. Getting ready to go rolling here. Sora and Stimpian ready to see who's going to be able to hold off who, or could it be someone else behind them that takes this lead position as they roll through the restart zone. Green flag in the air as we're green for the European Wax Center 160 once again.
Green flag going down into this next turn here. We can see them all scattering, get back in line. And right behind Colley is Zach Hall, trying to work his way up through, and we'll see. We talked about him earlier, Sam. Let's see if he can stay up here into the least top 5, top 6 positions, and maybe hopefully can get a good big green flag run here. But I just seen a little puff of smoke come out of Steven Stempian's car there. I wonder if he's locking up the brakes a little bit.
It's a tad bit, and also just trying to make sure he doesn't get into anyone else. There is the 81 as Brandon Colley makes the pass for second. The one being very aggressive on these tires, trying to move his way into position to take the lead from Vincent Sora. And Sora needs this win. Bonus points would just help him even more to feel more secure going into Charlotte next week. Bump though given. Golly, not giving a care. He knows it's go time. He's not racing for a championship. Colley just wants the win, and he's already using the bump and run.
That's right. He's win hunting is what he's doing right now. It doesn't matter to nothing, so he's getting up underneath. Look at this. Nope, he's going to get into the... Oh, he saves it.
Holds on, but behind him, Zach Hall also gets close to the outside wall, trying to react to the one slide. And now it's going to be side by side for third place. Brian Johnson on the outer groove makes the pass. And now here comes Cedric Hunter in the Hello Kitty machine trying to make his groove going forward as now Steven Stimpian, he gets his go and opportunity and calling card of it's time for your chance to go after that of Vincent Sora.
And we're going to pick door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Because... Go ahead. Sorry.
How many do we have? That's the real question.
Three doors. That's it. That's all we got.
Well, then who's going to be number 3? Could it be Johnson? Could it be Hall? Or will Colley go for another go?
Well, I think Colley's going to go use his one life that he has, and I think he's going to go for it as he, oh man, got underneath Brian Johnson there again. Yeah, I mean, you can taste the blood like that. Number 1, Brandon Colley. He is driving.
Oh boy, for the lead though as well.
Okay. Well, real quick on Brandon Colley, I think the problem is that he tastes it, Sam, but he's overdriving the cars. He's too aggressive. But we're watching now Steven Stempian try to get on Vincent Sora to get over it. And I think, go back and forth here, I think Steven Stempian's going to pick his time just right and try to figure it out. But Colley, I understand that he's really wants to win. I get it. But he's overdriving the car where he's putting himself in bad circumstances.
Well, I'm curious here for Steven Stimpian is how courteous will the 81 be? I know he wants to make this pass as clean as possible. We saw Colley willing to use his elbows and ruffle the feathers of the 15. Really didn't do much, but Steven Stimpian, he's got a little bit of an opening for the 15 who drifts up, but big thing for Vincent Sora, he's got the outer groove, so he can give that opening and kind of give a little bit of false hope to Steven Stimpian on the entry of turn 1, but it's the exit where the 15's been so strong.
Just watching the lap times that they're running here. Last time by, Steven Stempian is just a tick faster, and I'm just talking basically running the same lap times. I mean, this is ladies and gentlemen, if you don't like this kind of racing, I don't know what to tell you.
Close, it's on top of one another, and you know the bump and run's coming. That is the big thing. We're less than 50, coming
here?
up to 40, and right there, Steven Stippian, he's right on the back bumper, but once again, will he get aggressive and actually utilize the bumper, use the chrome horns, get his that 15 sideways, or get him using just a couple of more miles per hour into the corner? That's the big thing to watch out for, and they're pulling away. That of Zach Hall, Johnson, Colley, they went from right on the back bumper and a part of this battle for the lead to now being over a second back from our leader.
And losing time, too. So right now, this 15 and 81 are driving like they're at Talladega, pulling away from the field while everybody else in the back here, like you said, they're losing ground every lap. And it's not just a little bit here, a little bit there. It looks like Colley's starting to catch up a little bit now, but pulling away from Zach Hall and Brian Johnson and Cedric Hunter back there. But I don't know, man. How long do you wait? Because Steven Stippian looks like he's really strong entering the corners more than Vincent Sora. But Vincent Sora is slowing it down in entering the corner and getting that great run coming out.
Well, if we look back there, Robert, to the end of stage one, this is around the time that Steven Stippian really found his own speed and just checked out from the rest of the field. Vincent Sora, that was running back and forth and fifth when that happened, he's now in the lead position. The question for the 15 is how defensive can he hold off the hard charger of that is Steven Stippian? And for Stippian and for Sora, they need to gap even more. Zach Hall, he's starting to find a little bit of extra speed. Same for that of Brandon Colley. And if Zach Hall starts to be the fastest driver on track, that's when the field's got to be scared and hope that you get a yellow to try to stop the momentum of the 24.
Well, that's it. Longer run. We even said it here, too. And we'll bring up the ticker here. Stippian to Zach Hall right now. And you can see Zach Hall on lap 114. Okay, 114, 115, 116. He's faster. He's getting there, Sam. And I think this is about the time when everything we said, this is right in prime where the tires are heated up, tires are prime. And I think Zach Hall, if this keeps going the way it is, I think Zach Hall might have a chance to win this.
Last time by, it was Zach Hall that was the second fastest. Brian Johnson was the fastest. This go-around, it's identical times for the 24 and the 28. But for Brian Johnson, he might have fallen back too far. And for our leaders, they're getting caught. But the big reason why is they're battling so hard. Vincent Sora proving, hey, you might be able to be faster than me. You might be able to catch up to me. But you got to pass me to get the win. And that's where the defensive lines from this 15 of Vincent Sora. The kid has been so good at this here at Phoenix all night long when he's gotten the lead. There's only been one driver that has officially gotten past Sora while we've been green, and that was Danny Cochran, who had to make some bold moves to get by the 15. That is Steven Stippian. He's got to do the exact same thing that we saw the two do earlier, but I don't know if Stippian's got it in him to try to use the bumper on Vincent Sora.
Well, I don't know if he has it in him, but he might want to put it in him and look in the back here because Colley has caught him. Now he was trying to battle Vincent Sora, for the lead. And here comes Zach Hall and Brandon Colley. They have caught up to them, Sam. They are only 5/10 to 7/10 behind them. They're right there.
Yeah, and for that of Colley and Hall, they were a second and a half back, and they certainly have done all the grunt work to get up to this point. And Brian Johnson as well going to be attached to this group. Don't even look even further back than that. I mean, Cedric Hunter now is going to be a second and a half back. He could still have an opportunity to close in this group as our leaders keep on battling back and forth. Question is, does Colley have enough speed to try to get by the 81? Let alone try to go for our leader, and does Zach Hall have the patience at this point? We're now 40 laps to go, coming to 39. There's still enough laps, but we're at Phoenix, a short track. These laps can tick away quickly in a blink of an eye if you're not careful.
Yeah, in a blink of an eye, and before you know it, then the race is over. And that's one thing you don't want to do. But I've been watching these top five, even back to Tom Simchek, it looks like they're basically mirroring times. The top six, top seven, are running identical times, lap after lap after lap. Well, as we all know, you run the same lap times, you don't go nowhere. So how long do you follow the leader or follow the driver in front of you until you start doing something different? As you see Zach Hall now getting out underneath Collie there, getting out of his dirty air, trying to see if he can do something, as Collie went way high, and he's going to diamond that corner there, Sam.
Yeah, a big thing for Zach Hall that go around is he got loose onto the transition from the racing surface to the apron. That's why he had to dive down low so much. It was to catch the car, and now he's going to have to reset. Lost a little bit of time that go around and try again. Well, Colley's gaining on Steven Stympian. I think Stympian's opportunity to go for the lead could be null and void. He certainly is diving it down harder into these corners, but with us still having over 35 laps to go, this is just throwing away every opportunity for Stympian if he's just diving it into these corners at this point with how many laps are left.
Yeah, with that many laps left, the tires ain't gonna like it. That's what that's all gonna come down to. If he keeps driving that way, his prime was, and we seen it right when we went back green. That was his time to pass, and I think that's why he pressured so hard on Vincent Sora to try to do it then, Sam. Than now, because now he's actually fallen farther back of Vincent Sora. So, but right now, look at that. Zach Hall just went around Collie.
Yeah, I think that might have been a little bit of team communication of, hey, I think I've got an opportunity to go for this. I don't know if you've got the speed, but I think I've got the opportunity to run down these front two and go for the pass. Can I go? And I think Collie might have been like, you know what? Go for it. You feel like you've got the speed, go for it. Take on these front two. Go after Stympian, go after Sora. And I think this is going to be something to be interesting to watch out for. We talked about Brian Johnson, the fact that he was on a team with Vincent Sora, and that team, they have to go up against that of Steven Stympian, Zach Hall, Collie, Cedric Hunter. Those three drivers are part of that freaky fast racing team. And now it's who feels like he's got the best opportunity up front. And as they're starting to space out a little bit more, here's where the closest battle on track is. The battle for the 88 and the 14 of Brad Delph. This is for 10th place.
10th place, got Brad Delph back here, running against Justin Lewis right there in the 88. He's down 7 positions though, but he's trying to rebound himself right back up to where he at least qualified at, as he's going to look on the high of Brad, but it's not going to work there for right now. But yeah, it's hard-nosed battling back here for 10th, 11th, and 12th position, as there's still hard-nosed battling going up there for first, second, third, and fourth position. So we got battling all over the track here, it looks like here, as we'll go back here to Bob Skinner and Justin. Actually, we'll go back here to Christopher and look at Christopher back here with 61 just up in front of them here, but this backpack is basically spread out by now here.
Yeah, that's
All
more
by
so of
themselves.
just play it nice. Don't ruin your own race. Just keep it calm. Hope that someone else in front of you makes a mistake or has to go on a pit road for a reason. And another driver going to be added to the DNF pile. That's going to be Tyler Dangler, who's done. But we got to move back up to 10th place. Those drivers are getting frisky, as it is going to be that of Wilkes as well as that of Lewis Delph. They are on top of one another, and they were 3 wide for a quick moment. And Brad Delph, he was getting aggressive. Here comes Lewis now trying to go after that of Wilkes, and Wilkes has been the roadblock for these drivers. No one's been able to get by him. He's been so defensive. You could say that 17, acting like Vincent Sora up front for our leaders, but in the middle of the field.
Yeah, you can see right now he's like, yeah. Well, we'll have to see what Wilkes can do here. He's got some speed in the vehicle. I mean, he's running in 9th position. And that's where he qualified at. So he qualified there, and he's running there. So, he hasn't gained nothing and hasn't lost nothing. So, unfortunately here. But right now, we're still watching here at Justin. And what does he have on his car? Is that what I think it is?
What, you want some, you want to go have some Fritos?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I love Fritos. Okay. I don't know. Don't get me started about food.
Go get yourself some chips and some Fritos.
I will. After the broadcast is over, I'll grab myself a bag of Fritos. But right here, we got Carl Puller. He's also a couple laps down here, but he's got the fresher tires than these guys. And he's, yeah, see, you can see they're like, yeah, go. I'm going to let you go by. And there he goes. Just tires over versus old tires.
Yeah, and as this is going on, as Carl Pooler is going to try to make the pass on Wilkes, which could give an opportunity for some of these other drivers, Zach Hall able to make the pass on Steven Stympian, and Stympian just went high, let the 24 go, and now it's all on it for the points. That of Vincent Sora, again, got second place stage points. That's 9 bonus points that he's going to be grabbing here tonight. And that's not even adding the bonus points if he wins the race, which is 3 bonus points on top of those 9. So Vincent Sora came into the night 21 points ahead of that of the 24 of 21 points ahead of the 24 of Zach Hall. Was Vincent Sora leading the points into the night? Could be leaving tonight with over 33 or more points over Zach Hall, which would basically put Zach Hall in a must-win and Vincent Sora a must-last place with over 30 plus drivers.
And that doesn't mean that it can't happen. You know, we've seen crazy things in NASCAR, right? I mean, it's not over until it's over, right, Sam? I mean, next week Zach could go in there and win the pole, lead some laps, get bonus points. You know, Vincent Sora could not get no bonus points and then wind up getting wrecked and finishing second to last or last position. You don't know. So, I mean, you know Zach knows this, and you know Vincent Sora knows this, because I seen Vincent Sora post on Twitter earlier tonight that he's 2 races to go, and he wants a good, strong finish here tonight to, you know, solidify his championship going into next week's race.
I mean, he started the season off so strong, getting those 3 wins for Vincent Sora. I mean, that was already placing him in such a fantastic spot to go for a win and just say that he's done for, you know, the fact that, I mean, once you win 3 races at the start of the season, you're practically saying, all right, all I have to do is just finish in the top 10 for the rest of the season, and I'm locking this championship up, even if the other drivers get a couple of wins here or there. And for Vincent Sora, he's done practically that each and every week, trying to beat out Zach Hall points-wise. It was only last week at Homestead where Zach Hall outpointed Vincent Sora. I mean, that has been incredible to look at, but as we're coming up to the final 20 laps to go, Zach Hall had to work so hard to get by these drivers. Vincent Sora only had to get by 1 and then defend, and it's been pretty easy pickings for this 15, who's been defending and holding off those tires so much better than the 24.
Yep, with the laps coming down here, Sam, I'm going to be looking here at lap times right now, and this last time by, these guys are still basically mirroring each other on lap times. 1 lap, Vincent Sora there in the 15, McConey Setup Shop Machine is faster. Then the next time by, you got Zach there in the Freaky Fast Racing Team, you know, car faster. So, I mean, if this just keeps going on, like last time, wow, they tied last time. 29.49 they both ran. So yeah, unfortunately I think the tires hit their peak, and this is what you got. So you need somebody to mess up, or you need Sora to get into maybe some lap traffic might help Zach. I don't know if he's got anybody close to him, you know, as Sora's going to be lapping somebody here very shortly.
Yeah, the next driver on Vincent Sora's window is going to be Alexander Light, and Light is going to be on the middle of the back stretch, which Alexander Light has gotten a lot better as a lap car and has known how to get out of the way cleanly. And then after that, it would be James Hathworth Jr. And, you know, for both those drivers, should be passed quite easily and shouldn't be too big of an issue. The big cluster of drivers that could be in trouble are a little bit too far ahead of Vincent Sora with 20 laps to go. I don't think that they should be a factor, which would be that of Christopher Norris and as well Bob Skinner. As drivers that we see here, this is the battling that's been going on for 9th, 10th, and 11th. Still, it's Wilkes, Lewis, and Delph keeping it close.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny, you know, it started out with a whole bunch of yellows, and then everything calmed down here, you know, and we're getting 2 big long green flag runs, and we got to see that first long green flag run. You know, who had the car on speed, and we know Zach Hall had the longer speed than Vincent Sora, but like you said, right now, Vincent Sora is holding his ground up there with a 1.2 second lead over Zach Hall. So, you know, something major is going to have to happen, unfortunately. And, you know, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, post-race interview is coming up here very shortly after tonight's race, where we'll get to talk, hopefully, to Sora, Hall, and Stempien on their top 3 there, and see how that all went for them, and what did Zach needed to happen, and what was Vincent, thinking here after tonight's race, after we find everybody.
And interesting to see, but Brandon Colley into pit road for the one, not feeling confident for himself as we're coming down to the final 15 laps to go in this race here shortly. The one finally getting into his box, and he's about to go a lap down already, and he's going to take 4 tires and fuel and then get back out there. Interesting to see from the one machine, and now the question lies. I mean, I thought the drivers were good on fuel. Could be tires. I'd imagine it's more on the fuel end of things, as the drivers are about 2 seconds off of their fastest lap, which usually is the indication of having to come into pit road, but I thought the drivers were good. But the only driver that have to come in now, Alexander Light, comes into pit road. Maybe this race isn't over just yet.
Yeah. That totally threw us for a monkey wrench, didn't it, Sam?
Colley right now, after getting his service, back on pit road, only 1 lap down. He's going to try to go do his best that he can here with 15 laps to go at this race. Now, if we stay green, I believe that it is still too far of a gap for that of Brandon Colley to try to run down, get his lap back, and then catch up to Vincent Sora. But certainly he's going to do his best effort to at least gain as many positions back as possible. But for Vincent Sora and others, this, I thought they were completely good on fuel and tires. Maybe not. We'll have to keep our eyes out for these final 15 laps. Does anyone else need to come in for a splash and go?
Yeah, that's going to be the question, because now we're going to see, because that's where the Colley going in there. I wonder if they can't make it on fuel, if there might have been maybe 2 laps short on fuel, and some are saving to make that, like Brian Johnson, Cedric Hunter, they're Tom Simchek, you know what I mean? They could be back here. Reason why they're back here in their, 4th, 5th, and 6th position is that they're saving fuel, Sam.
Could be the fact that they're in that spot where they don't feel comfortable. Why Zach Hall and Sora ran an almost identical lap times again, just keeping it close between one another. Sora is slightly further ahead at the moment, as the rest of the field, they continue to get racy here. And speaking of racy, that battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th because of Colley going into pit road. Those drivers that were trying to battle to see who's going to crack into the top 10, it's now drivers inside the top 10, and they're starting to catch up to Chuck Sweeney, but who cares? Yellow flag strikes, and it's Alexander Light.
No. Wow. Well, don't worry about fuel and tires. Man, that's got to hurt, because if it came down to fuel and tires, as we'll watch the replay here, but if it came down to fuel and tires, or just fuel, Sam, that just blew Colley's, game plan out the window. Whatever he had planned is no longer there.
And he will get the lucky dog spot, but Colley now going to have to start at the end of the line. As you see, 97 of Alexander Light just trying to get way too aggressive, gets too low, gets on the throttle too soon, smashes into the front end, and that is how he'll end his night. Takes the toe to pit road and calls it quits, leaves the session, and another DNF in total. The rest of the field, they're into pit road. No surprise.
Yeah.
All going to be taking tires and fuel. At least 4 tires is the... everyone needed tires. You were 2 seconds off of your fastest time. And now it changes everything. It's going to be less than 10-lap shootout. Who's going to get it done? And, Robert, there's always in our back pocket overtime for these drivers for a green-white checker.
That too. And we're going to, we could see that. There's a lot of scenarios here, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what I see, hopefully not happening, but we'll see here. One, we know what Vincent Sora is pretty strong on the start. We did see what Steven Stempien did for the first, 5 to 10 laps, was all over top of that 15 machine. We know Zach Hall needs 15 laps more to be fast. Well, we only have 10 laps to go. So this threw a big monkey wrench into it. My question now, Sam, is what did Zach Hall figure out Can he figure something out with a short run, you know, with 10 laps to go? Because he's only going to have like 8 laps, and he's got to figure it out because he's starting second, and you're going to have Steven Stempian starting, you know, in third here. Now, the question is where does Vincent Sora start? High line or low line? I would imagine he's going to start on the low line, which is going to put Steven Stempian behind him, and we know how Steven Stempian can run up on top of Vincent for, like I said, the first 10 laps, so...
I mean, Zach Hall going to be either the inside or the outside. It's all on the 15 on where he wants to go. Kaufman going to be taking the wave around for himself in the 25, which is going to be putting him on the lead lap. But with the 17 drivers on the lead lap in total, Carl Pooler getting a little bit of service done. He'll be still 16 laps down. But if we go to overtime, Carl Pooler could move up to 18th place. So that's the reason why the 71 still racing, even though so many laps down, trying to gain every position possible. But up front, the drivers truly to watch out for: Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, Steven Stempian, Cedric Hunter, Tom Sinchek, Chad Wilkes going to be your top 6, with Brian Johnson back to 7th. With that of Brad Delph in 9th, 86 in 9th place, and then in 10th going to be that of Bob Skinner. Bob Skinner, 82. He could be going for a top 10 run here tonight.
Yeah, and I do believe this could be his best finish of the season if he finishes up here in the top 10. Correct there, Sam?
Gonna go back and see, but certainly I think this I think this is his best run of the whole entire year. Bob Skinner, certainly a driver that's trying to get better each and every week, and this would be his best finish and his first top 10 of the season. His best finish so far was Richmond, the first short track of the year, 13th place for that 82 machine. And you know, let's also touch on Justin Lemkin. He's also going for a top 10 run. You also got Christopher Norris, we touched on it earlier. You've also got that Brad Delph, who's trying to go for some decent runs. Biggest movers, we got out of a lot of drivers tied with 11 places up.
Right.
But biggest overall is Zach Hall, who struggled with his qualifying. He was the last driver time-wise off of qualifying. Has he figured out that speed? Well, it's time to find out, as it's going to be Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, 1 and 2 in points, 1 and 2 on track. And it is go time. The second to last race of the season for the WSSR iRacingiFlag Cup Series and the European WEC Center. Well, it's madness time, as it is going to be a 7-lap shootout. They're already going to be 3-4 wide, further back 2 wide. Up here for third, and Zach Hall needs to get rolling as everyone else is trying to get themselves in a position to attack Vincent Sora.
Everybody's getting in position, though, and here comes Cedric Hunter, here comes Chad Wilkes, and Steven Stempian didn't get the start that I thought he needed to get there, Sam. And now we got Tom Simchek up into the 17, and cars going all over the place, and it's getting side by side. Man, what a battle with 6 laps to go here, ladies and gentlemen. Does anybody have anything for that 15? And I, be honest with you, I don't think they do. I think Vincent Sora just turned it up another notch, man.
It's 3/10, and for Zach Hall, he needs to utilize this fresh rubber now and try to go after Vincent Sora. Coming across the line, 5 laps to go as Sora feels calm, cool, and collected up front. He just needs to be the smoothest possible, and he just put down the fastest lap of the night for the 15 machine. Beats out everyone else, and he's going to try to put another burner down as he's trying to pull away, as the gap is 3/10 between Vincent Sora and Zach Hall.
Still 3/10 between Vincent Sora and Zach Hall, and you got Cedric Hunter back there. Steven Stempian falling back into 4th position. Like I said, did not get the start that he wants, but we're riding on the back of Vincent Sora here. And it's still 3/10. Oh, now we're down 2. And you can see Zach Hall, Sam. He's driving that car in hard.
Well, we talked about tires. We talked about it was a 5 to 10 lap window. If you were over aggressive, it could hurt you on the back end. And for Vincent Sora, it was 7 laps that he needed to hold off. Was he too fast on the go? Vincent Sora now has to hold off Zach Hall, and Hall, he's gained a 10th in his last 2 laps, but he needs to gain a couple of more. Get right on that back bumper and give a shove to Vincent Sora. 3 laps to go through turns 1 and 2 onto the back stretch. We could still have a yellow. If we get a yellow with 2 laps to go, before we get the white flag, we go into overtime, as here we go into lap number 2.
Lap number 2 here. Eventually here, lap number 2, as they're going to come across here with 2 laps to go. Zach Hall is sending it. He's mail hauling it. He's doing everything he possibly can here to get to Vincent Sora as we're getting ready to get the white flag here, Sam. As woo, look at that run.
Go. He's right there, but the exits where Sora's going to feel stronger, just too aggressive on the entry. The grip wasn't there, and Zach Hall's going to lose all that time and advantage he gained for that quick second. Here he goes, diving it in again. Zach Hall needs to be closer. He needs a good exit here. Coming to the white flag or European Wax Center. White flag is in the air. This is official. It's Vincent Sora. Zach Hall. Hall's going to have only one more opportunity. It's all about the setup. Can he get the good run to be close enough off the exit of turn number 2 into turn 3? He's coming out of turn 2. A little bit of a wiggle. He's too far back. Vincent Sora. He's going to go for the win once again. He won the first 3. Let's give him a 4th. 50% of the season is all Vincent Sora.
Wow. Zach Hall drove the wheels off that vehicle, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that last 7 laps, he gave it everything that he possibly can. But you got to give credit to Vincent Sora there for holding it off because he knew the charge was coming. Between Stempian, Hall, he had 2 people that he had to worry about there, Sam, not just one.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing was whoever was going to go after Vincent Sora, they had to get it done with 5 laps to go. If whoever was in second was the driver that really was going to have to fight for it, and Zach Hall certainly gave it his best go. I loved his entry into turn 1. The exit of turn 2, though, is he just got on the throttle too soon, got too aggressive on it, and then Vincent Sora just pulled away. There was really nothing else after that, and the 15 is enabled to burn it down, extending his points lead even bigger. He got the stage bonus points. He got the lap led. I believe he even got the most laps led for the 15. On top of that, he gets the win and bonus points with that as well. Zach Hall at this point, he needs Vincent Sora not to show up next week if he wants an opportunity for the championship. Can't call it official here tonight, but Vincent Sora just has to show up next week, and he's practically the champion for Season 4.
That's correct. We talked about it earlier. You know, we're going to have something majorly happen to Vincent Sora, next week. And Zach Hall needs to lead some laps, get the maximum stage points, and just have something major happen. And it can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tune in next week because we can't crown somebody yet. I mean, we don't know until, we see what happens next week. We'll know within the first 5 laps exactly what's going to happen and what kind of speed this McConey setup shop Sora is going to have here. But with that being said, we're going to get our top 3 ready for our post-race interview here with WSSR, brought to you by iRacingiFlag and Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for that of the World Series of Sim Racing iRacingiFlag Cup Series for race number 7, and it certainly was a barn burner there at the end. Vincent Sora gets the win, but we'll talk to our victory lane winner here in just a moment. But first, we're going to start off with third place finisher, that of Cedric Hunter, and get his thoughts on how tonight went. Cedric, it's Sam up in the booth. Certainly a strong run for yourself, up 4 positions from where you qualified, but give us your perspective on these next-gen cars here at Phoenix.
Well, anybody that knows me knows I'm not a big Phoenix fan. It's kind of up there with Indy and Poconos, the tracks that I just dislike the most. So coming into it, honestly, I was expecting to run probably like 6th to 10th kind of thing. Like I wasn't expecting to get top 5, let alone a podium. So started off the race just absolutely terrible. To my standards, I think we at one point dropped back to 9th, I think, for the stage. So I suppose that me predicting that I was going to be about 6th to 10th was pretty correct up until that point, and thankfully I have to give a huge shout out to Zach because he kind of taught me on the fly on how to drive it, and he was really fast and showed a lot of pace. So he bounced back very well with a 2nd place finish. Was very close to the win. Probably could have moved Vinny to get there, especially considering they're battling for the championship. Didn't, so it'll be an interesting battle in the last race. But all in all, I'll take a top 3 because I wasn't expecting it at all.
And speaking of other things we weren't expecting, that late yellow that came out, I mean, what was going through your mind when you saw that yellow come out, knowing that it was going to be a less than 10 lap shootout to finish out this race?
I think when it came off pit road, I had... Oh, I'm forgetting his name. Oh, the 17 behind me, I think. And I know he's super aggressive. Got in the back of me last week on a restart, so I was honestly expecting the same thing. I thought I was going to end up on a tow truck. And especially considering I don't feel like I have very good short run pace, thankfully. And surprisingly, the top lane really paid off on the final restart there. And then Zach and I were able to secure 2nd and 3rd. It's unfortunate for Stympian because of losing out on the top 3 because he was one of the fastest cars on track tonight. So I'm sorry to Stem for taking away for his top 3, but I had to do what I had to do.
At that positioning, and it certainly was a good one. Well, Cedric, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, thank you. I want to give a huge shout out to my Freaky Fast Racing teammates. We were all really fast tonight. I was probably the slowest one out of the bunch. Just got lucky with finishing where I did. And unfortunately, Kali kind of had a misjudgment, I guess, on the strat. Or at the end, his tires fell off, and he decided to pit, kind of hoping that there was going to be a late caution. And unfortunately, came out maybe a couple laps earlier than he would have liked to, and got caught a lap down. And his race was over at that point. But he was really fast. I thought he was the favorite coming in. So. Huge shout out to all my teammates. Big shout out to you guys. Tonight was a longer race. I'm sure you guys are exhausted and ready to move on. So Charlotte's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for doing all that you do. Thank you to everyone also for that's tuning in, all the fans and stuff like that out there, and all the drivers that show up tonight. So thank you, everybody.
That will be the 13. It's Cedric Hunter coming away with a 3rd place finish here at Phoenix. And Cedric, congratulations on the podium finish. Good luck going into Charlotte next week.
I appreciate it, man. Hopefully you'll see me in victory lane.
And we hope so too. That was the 13 of Cedric Hunter. We go to 2nd place where we find Zach Hall, who I know Zach's going to hate this nickname, but Mr. 2nd place at this go around. He certainly has been fighting, tried to get himself in position to go for the win here tonight. But Zach, coming up a little bit shy there for the win, but man, was there anything else that he could have done for those last 7 laps?
Maybe put a new driver in there, man. I don't know at this point. I guess I'm determined to finish 2nd. I don't know. I really messed this race up from the very beginning, just messing up qualifying, compounding myself there, sticking me back in the pack and getting involved with, back there, and then getting turned into the wall head on, and I was just really frustrated tonight, man. It's 2nd's nice. It's nice to get that back, but the championship's over. I know that's out the window, and I knew I had to do everything tonight to keep it in hopes, and Charlotte's just going to be another, I guess, a practice race for next season.
Yeah, I mean, Zach, Robert and I were talking about it a lot here tonight. It just seemed like the longer runs is where this 24 really found its speed. Were you feeling the same on that, or were you just overall just trying to figure out this car all night long?
Yeah, I actually was coming into this race pretty worried. Especially like we did a practice race and I really struggled this week and was really thinking this was not going to fit my style. And I saw how good Vincent was, and I kind of figured out something there in practice. Luckily, and it really seemed to work on the long runs. I mean, I think I drove from 17th to 6th on one of those long runs, and it is so tough to pass now. You get behind somebody, and it's just a completely different car. Like it is unbelievable, and that's kind of why I don't know if most people noticed it tonight, but I just ran the low line and through 1 and 2 just to get the clean air, and it seemed to help so much for passing to be able to actually make my car work down there where I think a lot of guys were having a tough time turning down there. Yeah, and I mean, I can take a lot of positives away with that. The long run was really happy, and I think that's always a thing you need to strive for is to be good on the long runs. This never looks good when you fall off late into a run. So that's something I guess I can take with a pat on my back. But yeah, just started off in a hole tonight and never kind of dug my way out. I needed, I think, another long run or something to help position me where I could restart with the lead or something. Because I felt like if I could have got some clean air tonight, it would have been a pretty good one. But it's all good. We'll take it and we'll move on to Charlotte, man. And we'll see what the build brings us there. It's all new.
Certainly will be. Zach, I know you want to get out of here as soon as possible, so we'll let you go. The floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, first off, shout out to you guys. I hope the race was somewhat enjoyable from the car. It was pretty hard to pass, so I hope we got some decent action. I know up front it was really tough to pass, so thank you guys for commentating the race as always. You guys are a blast, man, to go back and watch the races. So thank y'all for that, and I can go back and see me finish second again here tonight. And shout out to my teammates, of course, here at Freaky Fast Racing, Steven. He gave me pretty much second there to fight for the win there at the end, I can't credit him enough for letting me do that. He let me go by to try to run him down there on that longer run. So thank you to Steven. Thank you to Brandon. He let me go too when I got to his inside. Just really good teammates that race, really smart. And it's a lot of help from them. And then last but not least, drivers out there. And then all our amazing sponsors, European Wax Center, iRacingiFlag, and ButtKicker, man. They really are a helpful group. And also Freaky Fast Broadcasting last there because they're the best broadcast group out there, guys. But y'all have a good night. And man, and we'll go try to get second again.
Thanks, Zach. We hope that you could just bump up and take that last position and get the win to cap off this season. Congratulations again on the podium. I know you're frustrated that it was second, but hopefully you can get that win next week. Good luck, Zach.
Thanks, buddy.
As now we head to victory lane with the driver that we can't crown as the champion just yet, but certainly has been quick all season long. Now can say that he's won at least half of the season, trying to go for more than half next week. Vincent Sora. And Vinny, once again, victory lane. It seems like you're pretty comfortable being here for at least for the WSSR iRacingiFlag Cup Series.
Yeah, that was a really fun race. This is probably one of my favorite wins out of all of them, especially this season. I really had to work a lot harder than the rest of them tonight because I got shuffled back in traffic. Dirty air is really bad. I had to save some tire. And thankfully, before we got that one yellow before around lap like 95, I was able to drive my way back up to third. And I was talking to Brian in the VC before that restart, and I said, if I get a shot, I'm just going to go all the way down to the pit wall and send it on the apron here and try to get the lead. And thankfully, I got the restart of a lifetime, and I was able to get to Stimps inside, and we battled for a couple laps, and I prevailed and had the clean air from there. And once you have the clean air here, it's pretty much over.
Well, you talked about that caution back on lap 95 that came out. That gave a lot of other drivers opportunities to go after you. And that opportunities, we saw a couple of shots from Kali onto your back bumper. Stimpian was racing you with respect. How was that trying to defend from the drivers behind? Did it seem easy once you had that fresh air, or were there moments where you were trying to hold on? Because from the rest of the field, everyone seemed extremely loose for the majority of the night.
Yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking to have them behind me just because I knew that, they know just as well as I do that the clean air is so crucial. And I wasn't too shocked that they put the bumper to me a couple times. While it was frustrating in the moment, I understood why they did it now. And yeah, I was pretty loose too. I had the rear brake bias dialed back a lot tonight, especially for when I was in traffic. And then when I got to clean air, I didn't dial it back forward, so I was especially loose. I only had like 50% tire left after that green flag run until about 10 to go. So yeah, I was pretty loose.
Well, Vinny, we can't crown you just yet as the champion. We'll have to wait until next week for that to be official. But certainly an amazing season you've had. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I just want to shout out the whole league. Without them, without all the drivers, we wouldn't be able to do this every week. So thanks to everybody that shows up on a weekly basis. I want to thank all of our sponsors. They do a great job. They're another big reason we get to do this. You guys at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, you do a great job. So thank you guys. I want to thank my personal sponsors, McConey Setup Shop. I want to thank my team, Category 5 Esports, and in the league, Sidewinder Motorsports.
That is going to be the 15 of Vincent Sora coming away with the victory, his 4th of the season. Congratulations on that, and good luck trying to go for another win next week.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.
As we move through this field, it certainly has been a wild one this season. Vincent Sora, his 4th win in total, and for Zach Hall, I gave him the nickname, and he's kind of nicknamed himself this, and a lot of people also call him Mr. Second place, his 3rd second place finish of the season, as well as being second in points. It's got to be a frustrating place to be. As we take a look at our European Wax Center unofficial results of tonight's race, Vincent Sora going to come away with the victory here for the European Wax Center 160. Hey, we get a lot of European Wax Center. If you'd like to go find more information on the European Wax Center, go to their website, waxcenter.com, to find the nearest location by you, as well as in second place, Zach Hall. Cedric Hunter going to be in 3rd with that of Steven Stimpian in 4th. Tom Sinchek 5th. Brian Johnson in 6th place. 6th, that of the 86, going to be in 7th, with Chad Wilkes in 8th. Brad Delph in 9th, and that of Justin Lewis going to be in 10th place. And Robert, we look at this field, I think the big driver that had a great opportunity to go for a win here tonight, but with the bad strategy call with a late caution that came out, the one of Brandon Colley all the way back to 17th. Danny Cochran, who was leading a couple of times, back in 21st position. And a lot of those early cautions took out quite a bit of these drivers.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Good race overall. I mean, not too bad. Like you said, what caught me off guard there, what I take away from this is Brandon Colley going in and doing that strategy move, thinking, that might help. And I had a funny feeling that once we seen that yellow, that strategy was thrown out the window, unfortunately for him. But you know what I take away from listening to tonight's race here is one from Vincent Sora, how he forgot to dial his brake bias, back up to the front of the vehicle, so he was a little bit more extreme loose, which then he only had 50% left on his tires. So when me and Sam start talking about tires, that's a prime example when it comes out of the race winner going, I only have 50% left of my tire on, a 10-lap run. So not even that, maybe a little bit more. Whenever they pitted, what lap did they pit, Sam?
Yeah, that was no, it was about a 10-lap run when
50% on a 10-lap run. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, so when we say tires, guys got to learn how to save tires. Second, I want to say to Zach Hall, eventually that win will come. He always told me, as long as you're finishing up front, that win will eventually come. It cannot come. When you're finishing in second and running into top 5, you know what I mean, Sam? That win will eventually come. So that's what I take away from this here tonight here at Phoenix. But like you said, we can't crown a championship yet. Zach Hall needs to show up next week. Vincent Sora needs to show up next week at Charlotte. We know how much of a racetrack that is, and everybody loves Charlotte on the iRacing service side of things, and are pretty good at it. And that track is very, very racy with these cars. So make sure you stay tuned for next week, Sam.
Yeah, next week certainly is going to be a good one. And this tonight, kind of starting off, we got 2 different series that are about to come to a conclusion on the same week. So it's going to be a fun time to see these drivers here this evening. This is the second to last race, and we'll talk about the next 3 races that are coming up here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Talked about it, Father's Day tomorrow, so want to give another shout out to all the fathers out there, as we're going to be seeing on Father's Day the 802 Next Gen Cup Series for race number 3 of the season. Going to be at Bristol. That's going to be a fun one to watch on how those drivers can handle the last great Coliseum. Then the series I was talking about, that is also coming to their second to last race of the season. It's the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, as they're going to Rockingham to see who's going to make it into their final 4. It's been a wild season so far. Bunch of drama, bunch of drivers saying that they might cause some incidences. It's out to see who will get it done. That will be Monday night. Then we get Tuesday off. And then on Wednesday short track racing going to be happening, as that of the MRRS Super Late Model Series goes to Dover for their 8th race of the season. Should be a good one. And if we don't see you for any of those broadcasts, as we do have a couple of more that we'll talk about in future broadcasts coming up, but we do have our final race of the season for Season 4, Charlotte, next week for that of the WSSR iRacingiFlag Cup Series. Will the champion be Vincent Sora? Most likely. Or will it be Zach Hall? You'll have to find out next week here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Saturday night, it's where you gotta be. Thank you for joining us here tonight. I can't wait to see you next week or in our future broadcasts. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Robert Moyer, thank you for joining us here watching that number 15 get to victory lane. And we'll see you on our next broadcast. Thank you, everybody.